The lime on the moon. Jaro, it's on the pen lime. With your host David Knapp.
Thank you, Clap Track, and happy Thursday night. I am your host, Dave Knapp. Man on the Manjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. Not that pen. This pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Manjaro, Zepbound, Compound. That pen. It's what we talk about each and every week here on the Pen Live. This is our 107th episode of On the Pen Live, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be doing it with all of you. We've got a great show tonight. We've got Dr. Spencer Nadolski. He's going to break down. Did y'all see this study that came out on sucralose this past week? Basically a study that talked about sucralose and how it potentially can affect our hunger signals. The best person to talk artificial sweeteners and things of that sort is Dr. Spencer Nadolski. So Dr. Spencer was kind enough to give me a little bit of time to run this down in the middle of this week, right before he took off for Disney. No, he's not one of those goes to Disney by himself guys. He's got a whole family, and so they're all at Disney. Nothing against the guy who goes to Disney by himself, but I digress. Probably stepping on some toes there. So yeah, Dr. Spencer sat down with us. Great conversation with Dr. Spencer, and I know that you're going to enjoy that tonight. We've got obviously our maintenance minute. Jana says that's her doctor. That's amazing. Yeah, Dr. Spencer's great. Do y'all like the thumbnail? Right? I had to go with the shirtless thumbnail this time. We've kept it really classy a lot of times. Dr. Spencer and I have kept it pretty classy. But I felt it was the appropriate time to break out the Dr. Spencer with his shirt off in the thumbnail. So hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the thumbnail this week, ladies and gentlemen. We are an equal opportunity podcast here at On the Pen. So yeah, really, really great show. We've obviously got Corey with our maintenance minute, Allie with our Reddit recap, and can't wait to get into that tonight. I wanted to just let you know about a couple of things that we're working on here at OTP. Really excited about the interview that I just got done doing a couple of hours ago. Harith Rajagopal, if you remember, we just re-aired an episode a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Harith Rajagopal. He is the CEO of a company called Fractal Health. Now, if you believe or have heard the studies that show that GLP-1s are kind of a lifelong medication for most people who want to maintain the weight that they've lost with the GLP-1 medication, like, listen, the studies are the studies, and the studies show what they show. And that's that most people who lose their weight with GLP-1s and then go off them regain. That's just the trial data. That doesn't mean it's going to be your story or everybody's story. A little piece of lint was driving me nuts. Doesn't mean it's going to be your story. Doesn't have to be your story, but that tends to be the case. And we always talk about here, when you're taking medication for a chronic disease and you take that medication away, the chronic disease comes back, right? We're talking about high blood pressure. We're talking about, anything where a medicine keeps it at bay. Obesity is no different. And so what the folks at Fractal Health have been working on are a couple of therapies that offer a lot of hope for somebody who doesn't necessarily want to take a shot the rest of their life. Non-invasive procedures. I'm rambling on all this just to tell you that they got some top line data from one of their clinical trials this past week, and it's really exciting news. And so Dr. Rajagopalan came back to OTP to tell us a little bit about the good news from that trial. And so we will cover that a little bit later this week. I'm not sure. Maybe I may even drop the episode tomorrow. I just got done editing it. That'll be a really good one. I hope you like the last one. I mean, because literally what they're working on is extremely exciting, especially if you're type 2 diabetic. That's, I think, maybe part of why I get really excited about what they're doing over at Fractal Health. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And have you all heard of BPC 157? BPC 157 is an amazing peptide. This is one that's available through our friends at Integrated Peptides. They are a CGMP That's current goods and manufacturing process. We talk a lot about that in terms of 503B pharmacies. Basically, there's FDA oversight in the way that they manufacture their products, excuse me. And BPC 157 is an amazing compound. Some really great benefits when taken orally. I've been working on a video. If you're excited about the video for BPC 157, listen, we're branching out a little bit with this video. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether to make it or not because it's a little outside the realm of GLP-1, but I really do think it's pertinent and it's going to be an important video to check out because so much of what we're learning about obesity and the hormones that help to regulate our appetite and our metabolism, it starts in the gut. So gut health is super awesome. And oral BPC 157 is a really phenomenal peptide when you talk about gut health, reducing inflammation, all that. So I've got a video that I've been editing. It's going to be kind of a fun one, right? Because the ones that I edit and spend a little time on, I think are always, the ones I really enjoy looking back on, down the road, because you really get to know a video when you spend hours and hours editing it. So if you're looking forward to the BPC 157 video, drop it in the comments. And I tell you what, we'll do a drawing this week and we will do a giveaway of some Can't Wait. You see these bottles behind me? We'll do a bottle of Can't Wait, which is their DNF10. That is their orally bioavailable peptide that many people have used to break a stall. I used it. I broke a stall initially. I kind of got away from taking it, but it's a really great peptide. A lot of people are using this for a stall to try to break a stall. If that's been you, put it in the comments. Let me know what you thought. I'd say about 80% of the people that talk to me about having taken it really say that it did help them get over that stall. There's another 20%. They're like, I had no idea that I even took anything. So, it's not going to be for everybody, but it may be for you. So we thank our partners at Integrated Peptides. You can check out the description of the video here and learn a little bit more. If you sign up there and use code OTP10, you save 10%. So orally bioavailable peptides, really great website, really great products, really great company. And if you use them, it supports the work that we do here at OTP. So thank you for those who do that. We're going to jump to our favorite time of the week, and that's when we hear from Allie and our friend Corey here on this channel. So we're going to hear from Corey first, as we always do. We're going to hear about this week's Maintenance Minute, and this is a really good, they're all good. I say that every week. This is a really, really good one from Corey. So check out Corey's Maintenance Minute for the week.
Hi, I'm Corey. There's a common belief that when it comes to medication, less is better. People talk about getting to the lowest dose possible as if it's an inherent success, as if taking less medication means they're somehow doing something right. We see this with pain management, psychiatric medications, and now with GLP-1s and maintenance. But let's step back and ask, why do we think this way? Does taking a lower dose actually mean someone is doing better? Or is this just another way we moralize health? The idea that the lowest dose is always best comes from a few key beliefs. First, there's the less is better fallacy. The assumption that medication should always be minimized, as if needing more of it is a personal failure. But we don't think of this way about other medical interventions. No one brags about barely needing their glasses or sees a stronger prescription as a weakness. You use what allows you to see clearly. Yet with medication, there's this idea that reducing the dose is an achievement rather than a medical decision. But there's no prize for taking less than your body needs. The right dose is the one that supports stability, not the lowest dose for its own sake. Then there's the moralization of health and weight. For decades, society has framed weight management as a matter of personal willpower rather than biology. Many people still carry the belief that the best way to maintain weight is without medication. So lowering their dose can feel like proof they're relying on it less. But this ignores the reality that obesity, insulin resistance, and metabolic dysfunction aren't about willpower. They're complex, long-term conditions with biological drivers. If a certain dose helps regulate those systems, then that's the right dose, whether it's high or low. We also see fear of long-term medication use. People worry about being stuck on a drug forever, so they assume reducing the dose is always preferable. But we don't think this way about medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes. GLP-1s don't just suppress appetite. They regulate metabolic processes. If a higher dose is what keeps those processes stable, there's no moral victory in lowering it just to say you did. Finally, there's the illusion of progress. Because many people see medication as a temporary fix rather than a long-term tool, they treat dose reduction as proof they're improving. But needing a particular dose isn't a sign of failure. It's just physiology. The goal isn't to take the smallest dose possible. The goal is to maintain metabolic health and quality of life in a sustainable way. Instead of focusing on reducing medication as a benchmark of success, the real conversation should be about finding the dose that allows for the best health outcomes. The ethical and effective approach isn't about taking the least. It's about taking what works. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is staying healthy. And the right dose is the one that makes that possible. And that is your Maintenance Minute.
Amazing, Corey. Amazing. It's so funny, the double standard that we have when it comes to so many aspects of taking a obesity medicine, an anti-obesity medicine. It is just wild, the double standards. And this is obviously one of them. And it's sometimes interesting to me. And you all know, if you followed me for any time, as a slower responder to GLP-1 medications, a diabetic, they just haven't done for me what they've been able to do for some other people. And it is often interesting to see how quickly people can benefit from these medications, get their obesity, kind of at bay with the medications, and then really revert to some of those same diet culture mentalities where, it's like, if you just do this or you just do that, just do it my way, which we've been told our whole lives as people living with obesity. It's just funny. Sometimes it can come from within. And so I think this is really great advice from Corey. As always, not surprised. Thank you, Corey, for such a great update. And every week is just such good little nuggets. I'd encourage everyone who's watching right now to hit that thumbs up button. There's about 35% of you that watch this show that don't subscribe to the channel. So if you'd hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button, that just shows the algorithm and trains the algorithm, tells it that this stuff's worth watching and other people should watch it too. And that it should show you more of it. And so all of those things help to train the algorithm. So train the algorithm, hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. I want to say a special shout out to one of our favorite community members, Anna Hoover. Anna, if you don't know, I'm just going to pin her last comment. Anna Hoover has been a member of the OTP community now for a long time. A very valued member. We love Anna around here. And Anna tomorrow celebrates 2 years on the pen. So tomorrow is her 2-year anniversary. She has had such remarkable success on the pen. And I just wanted to say a special thank you to Anna for all the support that she gives on the pen. And I know that as I bounce around and watch other videos on YouTube, she's just as supportive, just as uplifting in the comments of other creators as well. So I just want the whole community to give Anna a shout out in the comments tonight. Congratulations on 2 years. And we love having you around, Anna. And thank you for being here each and every week. We really appreciate you and continued success. Also want to highlight that this is one of those weeks where we have a drum roll, please. We have a live panel hosted by our friend Sabrina. Still have her Beyond the Scale up there. But Sabrina hosts a live panel, GLP-1 discussion every other week on the channel here. We're so thankful that she's brought that element to On the Pen. I think it's brought a wonderful piece that this channel was missing. And so we appreciate the work that she does. I would strongly encourage you on Friday night to check it out. It happens at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I just really encourage you to join. It is such a wonderful time to hear from a bunch of people who are going through the same thing you have. I mean, there's something to relate to each and every week because it's such a diverse panel and such a wide range of thoughts and ideas and perspectives. And I just really appreciate that Sabrina has brought that to the channel. So shout out Sabrina in the comments. Let her know that you appreciate her segment that she does every week. And it's every other week. And it's a 3-hour show. I mean, it is the best part about it is that we've got a whole playlist and you can go back and literally just watch them all. So it's something great to have on in the background while you're on the treadmill or doing your weekend chores, and just listen to some people who are like-minded and have sort of been there too. And so thank you, Sabrina, for hosting that each and every week. We appreciate you. We are going to kick it over to our friend, the one, there's none like her, friends. She is one of one. Her name is Allie. She has a channel over here on YouTube called Fit Flavor Fun. And each week she brings us a Reddit recap. Haven't screened this one. Don't know what it says. We know Allie can be a real wild card. So let's hear what Allie has to say this week on the Reddit recap.
Reddit recap is a bit of a public service announcement. So the Reddit threads were absolutely blowing up this week over a situation that is unfortunate. I want to bring attention to it, and I want to encourage everyone to share this information. So on the Reddit threads, people were talking about how because of the challenges around access to these GLP-1 medications, that people are doing what's referred to as compound hopping. It's where they're going from one company to another company to another company in an attempt to stock up on compound GLP-1 meds in anticipation for compound going away. Now, here's where the challenge is. There were a slew of people who were scammed. And the links that were provided by various Facebook accounts, they led to what appeared to be a legitimate telehealth company website. It was not. It was a lookalike, it was a scam, and then people were scammed out of their money. And I want to bring this to everyone's attention because unfortunately, this is what happens anytime there is high demand for something. The scammers will come out in full force and take advantage of people who are desperate for their medication. So I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. I wanted to tell you to please do your research. If someone provides you a link, please be wary of it. If they're sending you a private message, please be wary of it. If someone is telling you to go with a specific company, please do your research. Please search for that company and their reviews and their complaints. Make sure that you are going to the actual company's website. And when in doubt, ask someone else who is more experienced in the GLP-1 world to assist you. Please do not go in somewhere blindly. Please do not give people your money blindly, right? We all work entirely too hard to throw our money away to just be given over to scammers. So please be careful out there. I understand that there is a lot of unrest and a lot of panic in the GLP-1 community right now. And the last thing that you want to do is throw your money away. Be careful out there. This is Allie with your Reddit recap.
Thank you, Allie, for that Reddit recap and that great reminder. Listen, I run a Facebook group, a couple Facebook groups, and I'm telling you, they sneak in and they get in there and they have normal account names. And then they come in the group and it's like they change their name to the most craziest name. And then they're like, hey, how's about a sidebar about getting some medicine? Like, listen, it's never an acceptable thing to get pulled off in a private message and Telegram and all that stuff and pay with Venmo and all, like, listen, one of the things that you can look for on a website at the bottom is this little tag called legit script. It's one of the ways that you can tell that you're dealing with somebody who's reputable. So that is one way that you can definitely tell that a company is legitimate, but when in doubt, do your research and ask around, ask in the group. I see those comments sometimes, and somebody will post and they say, hey, somebody pulled me off and they're trying to sell me medicine. Is this legit? At a minimum, put a post up like that, because people will help you realize real quick what's going on. And so if there's ever a question, if there's ever a doubt, and just in general, do your research. So solid advice from our friend Allie with this week's Reddit recap. Thank you so much. You can follow Allie at Fit Flavor Fun over here on YouTube. That's Fit Flavor Fun. She's got a really, really great YouTube channel. And like I said earlier, Allie is one of one. And so you're really going to enjoy her content at Fit Flavor and Fun. Our friend Corey with the Maintenance Minute can be found at Corey.take2 on TikTok. So make sure you give both of those ladies a follow and give them some love for all they contribute to the On the Pen live show each and every week. We appreciate them greatly, and they are wonderful. And they are as wonderful in real life as they are on their channels and in their content. Just love all the gals who help contribute to OTP each and every week. Sabrina, you're included in that group, obviously, as well. Want to thank our sponsors, Ro, who bring this podcast and this show to us each and every week. Ro is a telehealth company that I advise for. So when they're creating new and wonderful tools for the community, they hit me up. They say, hey, what's the community looking for? How can we help? And so I get the chance to advise with them. Ro is an amazing company. Listen, with all the issues that we're facing with uncertainty about the future of compounded medications, it is time to take another look at branded medications and see if you can get approved. I know that's real controversial to say with some people out there, especially the ones who benefit greatly from the sale of compound. But branded versions are still a thing, and more insurances are picking them up. And so it is worthy of taking a look at a telehealth company who can help you fight that battle to get insurance coverage. Ro is such a platform, and they are one of the things they excel at is fighting that insurance battle and getting approvals done for people. I know many in our community have switched over to Ro and they've gotten on the branded medication. So that is a wonderful thing and a service that they offer there at Ro. Of course, you can get the Lilly vials through Ro's platform without ever leaving their app. And they're just great people. That's the bottom line. I mean, if really there's a hard sell on Ro, it's just they're really great people. And I'm so thankful for them. And I know that you are too, because they are the ones that bring this podcast and this show to us each and every week. So for just checking it out, you can go to ro.co/OTP and learn more about the Ro Body program, where patients lose 15 to 20% of their body weight in a year when coupling lifestyle modifications with GLP-1 medications when appropriately prescribed, when medically necessary, right? If you're going to start a new medication, just make sure that you learn about all the things about the medication, because there's no free lunch around here, right? You want to make sure that you're familiar with all the potential issues that could arise with taking a new medication. All that's going to be available at the Ro website within a couple clicks. Once again, that's ro.co/OTP for On the Pen. Check them out and give them some love for supporting On the Pen podcast. We love Ro here at OTP. Now, we also love Dr. Spencer Nadolsky, because Dr. Spencer will be willing to come on the show and just kick it sometimes with me when there's some news going around. And this week has been no different. So I am super excited to bring you this conversation. This past week, there was some news that dropped. Actually, it was Allie who sent it to me. And the news is around sucralose. And it was a study that was done that basically looked at sucralose, and it looked at people's brains, and it was trying to figure out, do people get hungrier by virtue of consuming sucralose, the artificial sweetener? Does that trigger something in our brains that makes us want to eat and consume more calories? So that's what this study looked at. And there's really, in my opinion, no better voice on this topic of artificial sweeteners and diet sodas than Dr. Spencer. I just like his disposition and how middle of the road he is, and how just practical he is about this kind of stuff, especially when it relates to people living with obesity and how they should approach these conversations. And so I'm really excited to bring you this conversation with Dr. Spencer Nadolski tonight. He is our shirtless hot channel tonight. Please welcome in Dr. Spencer Nadolski.
Hot channel.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Always good to chat with you.
Well, my heart's fluttering.
What can I say?
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming back. And I'll always appreciate these conversations that we get to have around, whether we're talking GLPs or whatever. I mean, I always enjoy the conversation. And I saw this study come up. So to give a little background to folks, actually got sent this from Allie at Fit Flavor Fun. She always knows the stuff that's catching my eye, and I've always been interested in this kind of topic of conversation as a person who lives with diabetes. So there was this, basically for everybody listening, there's a study published in Nature Metabolism that kind of puts some fresh light on artificial non-nutritive sweeteners like sucralose, and talks about how that might be messing with our brains and basically like causing us to want to eat more. And they used MRIs, functional MRI scans, to observe how brains and healthy individuals were responding to this non-nutritive sweeteners. And I always loved your perspective on this whole topic, because it's like one of those topics where it's so difficult to wade through the noise, because there's a study over here that says something completely opposite than a study over here says. And so I just want to get your thoughts on, what do you think about this when you picked this up and read it?
Yeah, it was sent over to me last week. Of course, people think I'm a big pharma shill, but what they don't know is that I'm a big.
Well, you are. They think that because you are.
Well, yeah, but they don't know I'm an even bigger diet soda shill. And so I'm always like, you think I'm getting paid by Novo? I'm getting paid by Coke. Like,
I got Coke.
Yeah, just for anybody, I'm being extremely sarcastic. I don't make money from artificial sweeteners, but it's an obesity specialist, obesity doctor, and what I really like is being very practical with patients.
Yeah.
And so you'll get patients and everybody's like, why not just tell them to drink water? I'm like, have you ever talked to anybody before that's drinking a lot of soda? For them to go directly to water is often daunting, and just many people just won't do it. Some will, but the more likely scenario is that hey, what about instead of drinking 6 Cokes per day, you drink 6 Diet Cokes per day?
Yeah.
And not everybody likes the taste of diet soda. Some people are like, I'd rather just drink water. But some people are like, you know what? I could do that. Especially Mountain Dew, by the way. Like regular Mountain Dew and going to Diet Mountain Dew, for some reason, seems to be easier. I like Fresca personally, but whatever. Anyway, so and then you hear these other people basically saying, sugar is better for you than artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are way, way, way worse for you than any type of sugar. So when you look at the actual data, it turns out that if you swap a sugar-laden beverage for a non-nutritive sweetened beverage, people lose weight. And then people are like, why don't you just drink water? Actually, when you compare it, they've done these types of trials, and they've actually found that sometimes it often does better than the water. And so I like to get beyond the mechanisms, which is what people do. I always call it mechanistic masturbation. It sounds really crude, but it's truly people really get into you think of the Andrew Hubermans, you think of some of these other people that just like, oh yeah, we get these neurotransmitters and all these other little things that are going on. It's like, what actually happens? Like, what happens? Like, think about like with GLP-1 receptor agonist medicines. So like, well, yeah, maybe Zepbound's better than Wegovy, or tirzepatide's better than semaglutide because, oh, there might be some of this more lipolytic um, action. There might be some of this and that, but like at the end of the day, it just works better. We don't know exactly why. We think it has more of an appetite suppressing effect. So when you think about the artificial sweeteners, they're like, oh, well, in this rat study, you found that it actually had this kind of mechanism and whatever. And this study specifically, it's looking at appetite changes. Okay, appetite changes. And really, they looked at perfusion, I believe, of the hypothalamus. I have to go back and look because it was last week. I read it quickly. I'm like, I don't really care about appetite changes. I want to care if they lose weight and keep it off. And when you look at the trials that they've done in the past, people lose weight and improve their cardiometabolic health when they swap regular soda for diet soda. So if you drink diet soda instead of regular soda. Now, people are like, but again, just drink water. Sure, go ahead and just drink water. But if people are not willing to do it, go ahead and drink the diet soda. That's like my biggest thing. And it's in it, anything and everything else when it comes to this stuff. Look at the outcomes. What do we actually care about? We care about people losing fat, improving their blood sugars, cholesterol, feeling better. Appetite can drive that, but at the end of the day, if they think that they notice appetite changes, but people are actually losing weight, like who cares? That's the gist.
Yeah. I think I've always appreciated what you've had to say on this topic because I think it's grounded in reality. It's like what actually happens in the real world.
Yeah.
And if somebody's drinking a gallon of heavily sugared pop every day, it's hard to argue that some sort of swap that gives their pancreas a break is going to be a bad swap.
Pop.
But
you know you're from the Midwest when you're saying pop, because I'm from Michigan and I used to say pop all the time. I moved to North Carolina and everybody said soda and they thought I was weird when I said pop.
Pop, sody, whatever you want to call it. Well, you're talking about getting somebody who's drinking 6 pops a day or sodas or whatever, Mountain Dews a day. It's almost like telling them to switch to water is like, hey, smoker, how about you chew gum instead? It's not going to happen. Might happen for 1 out of 1,000 people, but yeah.
Unless it's nicotine gum.
You're right. Unless it's nicotine gum, and even then, it's hard. It's a hard swap, right? It's not. I mean, you're talking about habits and breaking habits and all these different things that are just more nuanced than any of these studies really look at. One of the things that comes up, and this is a question I put out, and I think maybe even you might have responded to it. I can't remember, but I put out a TikTok a while ago because it's a topic that I'm always curious about because I hear so many influencers or even doctor/influencers talking about this. Basically, it's called like a cephalic response. Is that so basically the idea is your body produces insulin in response to artificial sweeteners because it's like your taste buds taste it and your body anticipates a glucose response, so your insulin levels rise. And so what are your kind of thoughts about that as it relates to non-nutritive sweeteners?
Yeah, there have been a big meta-analysis. They put all the data together, the randomized trials, and they found that it doesn't look like on average there's much of this change in insulin. But when you look at like individual non-nutritive sweeteners, there may be some changes with some of the different things. But like again, it's so minuscule, so small. If there is a response there, that it's not clinically relevant. Most of what people, and like you can say, you can put on, go ahead, get a CGM, continuous glucose monitor, pop that thing on. If you notice any changes in your blood sugars, they should start going down, if anything. From it. And people have done this. It's funny. There's some people that have done that experiment on TikTok and on Instagram and those things. They're like, yeah, I don't see any difference. And so like, but clinically, especially with the big trials that they've done, don't see any. There's no clinical meaningful change.
Yeah, I would think because that was like my first thought was like if people are creating a this insulin spike in response to non-nutritive sweeteners, at least for a period of time, you would have a blood sugar crash
Right.
before the glucagon effect kicks in, right? And
Yeah.
your body
We feel
naturally
that.
brings blood sugar back up. But still, you would have this sort of mayhem showing up on your CGM, I would think, because you create insulin, boom, sugars drop, glucagon goes up, sugar spikes, and then it levels out, right? For me, I've never, and I wear CGMs every day to monitor my diabetes, and I've never ever seen any sort of anything.
And you're
In
chugging that Diet Dew, aren't you?
what'd you say?
You're chugging that Diet Mountain Dew, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I actually am a Diet Mountain Dew guy, but I do definitely try to. I do have questions about what some certain, like especially aspartame, could potentially be doing to gut. And obviously, when you talk about incretin hormones or nutrient stimulated hormones, all this action that's going on in the gut, I am a believer that I think a lot of the solutions to some of the problems with obesity probably lie in gut health, right?
Mhm.
Which is something that I don't think you talk about, like how semaglutide or tirzepatide, which one's better at the end of the day. You're eating less, and how one works is not completely untapped. And I think it's a really good acknowledgement, because I think like what medical science knows is what medical science knows, but everything seems to be leaning towards. And I would be curious your thoughts on this. If the foods that we eat in the United States, and you look at the curve of obesity in the United States over the last 40 years, there's something going on with our food supply and our food system. I think that is like wreaking havoc on our guts, which is causing maybe some issues with that signaling between the gut and the brain. And you know, I'm curious to know like what your thoughts are on the potential of maybe obesity science leaning in that direction.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm. There's a big push for understanding this more. Like, is it possible that the crosstalk between our microbiome and our brains is causing us to not have as much satiety signal transduction and all these different things? It's very possible. I know with the artificial sweeteners, there's this concern of like, worsening disruption of your microbiome. There's a lot of the way that they actually test the microbiome is an issue. You have to be consistent with the way you test it. Is that test, the way they test it, actually validated? So there's lots of things there. When it comes to our ultra processed food dietary patterns, is it the adipose that we're gaining that's also causing the disruption, or is it the food also causing the disruption and we're gaining adipose, and then it's changing the signaling, and then it's worsening our energy intake because we're not satiated at all? A lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of people that are looking into maybe drugs that alter the microbiome to help with this. I don't know. It's a lot in its infancy. They have to dive a lot deeper.
I don't know if you know about this or not, but I was reading just like maybe a month or two ago. There's one of these artificial sweeteners, and I can't remember. I should probably do a quick Google search on it if you don't know what it is. But there's one of these non-nutritive sweeteners that they're actually finding increases in endogenous GLP-1, and they're studying it. There is some company that's actually studying it in obesity medicine in like super high doses or something. You
Yeah,
familiar with that?
this is the thing that some people thought that sucralose and some of these others may increase the endogenous GLP-1, and that's what also increases the insulin response that they thought that they saw. And I was like, if anything, that's a good idea. That would be a good thing. Although, like, again, if you've seen some of my posts, I'm like, increasing our own endogenous GLP-1 is like pissing in the ocean, because we really need it to stick around for a lot longer and have those get to levels to where it has the effects similar to these receptor agonists. But any little bit helps. I know there's probiotics out there that some of these companies are pushing that, hey, we increase our own endogenous GLP-1 by 2 to 3 times. Maybe that has a glycemic benefit, kind of like what you see with those, like the Januvia, sitagliptin, the DPP-4 inhibitors, the stuff that breaks down I think you made a post about it. I sent you a message, right? Last like
Yep.
a year or two ago.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ringing a bell that we were talking about. I think the point you were making was that these analog GLP, GIP analogs have been designed to be DPP4 resistant,
Yeah.
right? But I also go back to there's got to be something to increasing endogenous GLP-1 because I don't know if you've heard of Fractal Health, but there's a really cool interview that I have with the CEO
Yeah.
of Fractal Health,
Where
and
they hydrate this stuff or whatever.
they got a couple different things that they're working on. One is like a duodenal mucosal resurfacing, but the
Okay.
other one is actually a gene therapy that actually programs your body to make more endogenous GLP-1 when you eat. So
Oh.
it's like basically your GLP-1 goes in overdrive in response to nutrient intake. So
Hmm.
it's like just sort of enhancing the endogenous response. And it is showing in early trials that in pigs, I think of all things, in pigs that when treated with the gene therapy versus high dose semaglutide, that the pigs actually lose more weight, keep it off longer. So there's got to be, I mean, if that's all the only data you're looking at, like something to increasing endogenous GLP-1. But I think where it gets twisted is you see all these videos about new supplements that raise your
Yeah.
natural GLP-1, and people just don't understand, like, you can raise it, but your body's almost immediately destroying it with DPP4.
Yep. That's right. The one I came across was the blueberries. I seen olive oil, blueberries, and a bunch of other ones, and I'm always like, come on, they're selling their meal plans, and like I get it. Like, can you just be truthful about it? Blueberries are good for you. Olive oil is good for you.
Right.
Oatmeal is good for you in general, but
It's like, I mean, it's sad because GLP-1 marketing is becoming like every other diet craze. Like,
yep.
I was just watching a commercial yesterday with Rob Lowe, and he's always pushed the Atkins stuff for some reason.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's like the big Atkins diet meal like guy. And he's like, so everybody's losing weight on these new medications, but how do you sustain that weight loss when you come off it? And then it's like Atkins is the solution.
Wow.
So it's just like so funny to see diet culture kind of grab on to the GLP-1 craze. And I mean, it's not really funny. It's infuriating, but at the same time, we shouldn't expect that they're not going to. And so I think it's important for people like you with trusted platforms to be able to make that content and go, like, this supplement that you're taking to increase your natural GLP-1 that you're paying $100 for a month for is not going to do anything for you. Body's going to destroy it. And it's just important content to make.
Save your money for if you can't get the medicine for Lilly Direct or whatever. Again, I don't get paid by Lilly, please.
Shill.
Spilling out Lilly.
I didn't ask you to come on here and shill Lilly Direct.
Or Novo, what is it? NovoCare? Whatever.
Yeah, I know. I love how they do get castigated as the bad guy for selling something that actually works for $500 a month, but then, somebody sells a GLP-1 supplement and they're not somehow worse. So I know you got a jet here, and I appreciate you sitting down and chatting with this about this with me today. So if somebody's watching and they're just reading this study from Nature Metabolism, like, what advice do you give to somebody who's trying to interpret sort of conflicting information about artificial sweeteners? Like, how should the average person respond to some information like this?
Yeah, I think the gist is like, look, there are some people that feel like they crave more when they get hungrier when they drink these things, and if that's the case, probably want to stay away from them. But if it feels like this is like the one treat that you have, and it's better than drinking a regular soda, and you feel like you're able to keep your weight off, and it's not increasing your hunger, it's fine. Like I wouldn't stop drinking it. That's the gist.
Yeah, Fresca.
Fresca, that's my go-to.
It's good stuff. Fresca is good stuff. That's something my grandparents always used to have around, was Fresca.
Fresca.
It is good stuff. All right, man. Well, thanks for helping us kind of cut through the noise on this one. I knew you'd have some interesting perspective and insight on this. Anything else you want to chat about before you got your new telehealth company, Vineyard?
Yeah, Vineyard. Join Vineyard if anybody's interested. Direct. No middle person. You don't talk to a team member care coordinator. It's you and the doctor and a dietitian. Direct. You get the same doctor, same dietitian. That's the big insights that I heard over the past few years, and that's what I'm sticking to.
Yeah, very cool, man. Awesome. Well, you can follow Dr. Spencer Nadolski at, are you just like Dr. Spencer Nadolski at
Yes.
Dr. Spencer Nadolski?
At doc, I actually my brother's a Dr. Nadolski, but he had to do Dr. Carl Nadolski. I did Dr. Nadolski, Drnadolsky. So
You got to the trademark before he did.
Yeah, that's right.
So Dr. Nadolski with a Y.
Yeah.
You can follow him everywhere, especially Instagram. That seems like where you probably live the most.
I'm going to start up that YouTube here again soon. I had slacked over the past few years, but anyway.
Yeah, and then you also have the Docs Who Lift podcast, which I think most people probably know about too. But that's the one that you do with your brother Carl. Always got some pretty interesting stuff on that too.
Yes, thank you. Go listen.
All right, man. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Dr. Spencer Nadolski, what do you think? I always enjoy talking to Dr. Spencer. We have a great conversation every time we chat, whether it's online or offline or wherever, whatever. It's always a good time with Dr. Spencer. So we thank him for giving a little bit of time to the stream tonight. How y'all doing? We got a few extra minutes tonight, and so I guess I don't know how many people we have watching tonight, but I would not mind taking a couple questions because this show was a little bit shorter than some of the ones before. So if you have any questions, drop them in the commies here. We have got, just to recap, we've got Dr. Harith Rajagopalan of Fractal Health. We kind of alluded to them in the interview there, some of the stuff that they're working on. We sat down with their CEO just today. So that interview will be dropping in the next couple of days on the channel here. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep your eyes peeled for the BPC 157 video that I have been painstakingly editing over the last couple of days. And so, yeah, some good content coming up. And so keep your eyes peeled for that. We've also got a couple more announcements that we'll make in the coming weeks about some exciting stuff that's going on with all the on the pen goings on. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. My best guess. So DJ has a question. Best guess what compound peeps can do for meds. Best price available. Well, for the compounded versions, we're going to definitely continue to see custom doses, custom formulations from 503As. It just depends on how fast, quickly, and aggressively Lilly goes after them and what their appetite to continue to compound will be in the face of cease and desist letters. But theoretically, patients who cannot tolerate the brand name medications should have access to safely compounded versions. So those will be an option for a while. And then, of course, Lilly Direct and NovoCare offering cash pay price for their GLP-1 treatments. $499 a month is right around where you can expect to pay if you're on a therapeutic dose of those medications. So that's the best I can give you right now. I mean, people have asked me why I am not really covering the lawsuits that Lilly has put forth against Strive and Empower. I haven't torn into the nitty gritty on the channel yet. Maybe if y'all bug me about it, I will. But the interesting thing to me is just that it's more of Lilly going after trademarks and not patents. And so it's about the marketing. It's about the marketing. The end result's the same. If they win the case, then they have to stop compounding. But it's just interesting that they're not actually going after the intellectual property of tirzepatide. They're going after how these pharmacies are allegedly marketing it. So that's all you really need to know there. It's the low key kind of thing that I'm watching for. If you want to know what I'm watching for out of this whole thing is, does Lilly ask for a preliminary injunction against these compounders, Strive and Empower, in these lawsuits, in which case the judge could come in and could say, okay, Lilly really has a strong case here. So while this case gets adjudicated, we're going to go ahead and keep them from compounding tirzepatide. And so if that's the case, you have Strive and Empower go down, not able to compound. That's two really big 503A pharmacies that are serving a lot of patients. Of course, if you've been following the Mochi saga, Mochi lost. Equita Pharmacy got shut down by the state pharmacy board. Then they switched everybody over to Empower. Or is that right? Switch everybody over to Empower. And now they've had to switch some Empower patients. So we all know that it's just really kind of a messy situation out there right now. And it would be bad for people relying on compounds to have those go away. Jack, welcome to the channel. Just found out that Hims only offers 1.25 compounded Wegovy. Yeah, interesting. I don't know how much longer Hims will be offering compounded anything. They've been pretty wishy-washy in their messaging about that. Dunleary wants to know how I feel about Roe going with Lilly. That's obviously something that happened a long time ago. Roe just decided that they were going to partner up with Lilly to offer the vials directly through their platform. I love it. Roe has always offered branded medication. And as I mentioned earlier, earlier in the live stream here, Roe does a great job of fighting for patient access in terms of helping to really know how to fight those battles with insurance to get prior authorizations done. So it makes sense that they would partner with Roe, or that Roe would partner with Eli Lilly to offer the vials as well as a secondary option. I think they're very smart at Roe. They've always seen how this is going to progress from a regulatory standpoint. And so I think they're just trying to provide the best continuity to their patients that they possibly can. So I feel great about it is the answer to that. I love Roe. Do you know if there's any updates on the OFA semaglutide case? I did get a email tonight. This is like news that I haven't shared anywhere here. But again, as I was sharing with the members before the channel tonight, there's just so much going on at any given time. It's hard for me to keep up these days. But NP2Go, which I don't know if that means nurse practitioner to go. NP2, the number 2 go, filed an amicus brief opposing the FDA's decision to remove semaglutide from the shortage list. So they're an outfit out of Oklahoma City who is filing an amicus brief in that lawsuit. You sort of saw IVEAM do the same thing for the tirzepatide case. It's basically what is that? What is an amicus brief? Well, it's actually just, it stands for friend of the court brief. And so anybody can really kind of insert themselves and say, hey, we're an interested party here, and this is our 10 cents. So may the court consider what we have to say. And so this NP2Go is filing an amicus brief basically to argue against the FDA's move, and they're specifically saying that the FDA's action disproportionately harm patients in rural areas and low-income communities where many continue to face difficulty accessing brand name semaglutide alternatives. So that's some breaking news there. For what it's worth, they are represented by Marty, M-A-R-T-I Law Group, who is their legal counsel filing that amicus brief in that court case. I think if you're asking me how I think the semaglutide case will go, it's in the same venue as the tirzepatide case, same judge, same sort of arguments brought by the OFA in that lawsuit as well. So I don't see it going much differently than the tirzepatide case does. So we'll have to see sort of how that tirzepatide case goes. It doesn't look like it's going to go the way of people relying on compounds. So I would imagine the semaglutide case will follow suit as well. So that's where we're at right now. Just a little bit earlier on, I'm sure that we'll see a request for a preliminary injunction there as well, which will probably get denied. And we'll stay on top of it here at On the Pen. So make sure you sign up for email alerts at onthepen.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click sign up. You'll never be without an important key update. If you're signed up for emails already, put email in the chat. Again, somebody who puts can't wait in the comments of the video, once it posts tonight, will get a free bottle of Can't Wait. This is the DNF 10 from our friends at Integrated Peptides. If you want to check them out in the comments, use OTP 10 to save 10%. Sign up at the link. Anything you purchase through Integrated Peptides helps to put my kids through college, which isn't yet, but it will be in the future. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being the best part of what we do at On the Pen. I couldn't, shouldn't, and wouldn't do it without you. Y'all are the best. My prayer and hope for you all this week is the Lord would bless you and keep you, that he would cause his face to shine upon you and be so gracious to you, each and every one of you. You all are the reason that I do this, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. So once this video is done, the live stream ends, go back to the video and put "can't wait" in the comments of that video. We'll give away a bottle. It's got to be in the video once it posts tonight. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part. Congratulations again to Anna on her 2-year anniversary. If you would like to join us in the Discord for the post game, JD's just a tiny fraction of a step ahead of me there. The Discord, you can get there by going to onthepen.com and scrolling to the bottom of the channel. We hang out there and do a post live stream chat. We just kind of keep the conversation going there. So feel free to join us there. Until next week, I hope you all have a great week. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next one.